gives you lemons. Make a strong lemon margarita. Yeah, baby. She is the queen of radio. PATU LOCA has arrived on Paul Santisi Music Mastermind Radio.
Hello, everyone. As you guys know, this is another edition of the Get Inside Me show on Spreaker Radio, and pretty soon, of course, you guys can catch me on iTunes. I'm so thrilled and excited for those of you guys who are a big Paul Santini fan, and who has been checking out the links that I do share about the Music Mastermind. That's all about positivity, living positive, thinking, breathing, and he's also infusing positive music with positive intentions with beautiful artists such as the artists that you guys have seen me interview for the Get Inside Me show, as well as an orchestral chamber violinist and teacher, Miss Jennifer-Clift. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you, Patu. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, of course, I'm going to have you talk a lot because I love your voice. So in case you're like, whoa, she's talking a lot.
Yeah, I also have the same accent when I speak in Spanish, unfortunately, but never mind.
Now, for yourself, how did you get into music?
Well, my mum is a pianist, and she trained at the Royal Academy in London, but then she sort of moved. She didn't become a performer. She was teaching for a while, and then sort of not really dedicating herself professionally, but she's probably my main influence. And then I have two sisters. I have a twin sister, and I have an older sister, and who lives here in Connecticut. And so we all studied instruments, and we all started with the piano and then moved to different things. And so that was really our start. And I started, my first instrument was probably the piano, and a lot of singing. We used to sing a lot. And then not until I was 13, I started with the violin. But that was my choice. I sort of, for some reason, I thought, right, the violin is what I want to play, and I was very lucky. I got a very good teacher. I was at boarding school in England, and I had a really, really good teacher who was very inspiring, and that was really I realized very quickly that the violin was what I really loved. So, but it was really a late start for a violinist, but a good start, I think.
No.
Yeah.
For you, was it a bit challenging having a mother as a teacher? Because, a lot of times you do have people, was this something that your mom noticed, or you noticed yourself and you said, okay, I'm going to get into music? Or was it because you grew up in it, you're like, I might as well?
I think she never taught me the piano, for example, and I've certainly realized teaching, being a mother myself, I have 3 children myself, and I've taught them all the violin, and that was extremely challenging, and we've sort of moved through them doing that, and they've all moved on to different instruments and everything, so I understand perfectly the whole challenging thing. But my mum was never actually my teacher, but I think it was something that sort of developed, and it's always been actually a really close bond between her and me. We still, whenever we see each other, I go and visit. I'm based in Madrid. I live in Spain, but when I go to visit her in England, we always play together, and we often put on little house concerts together, and so it is something actually which is very unifying for us. It's really nice, but it wasn't ever a plan, I don't think. But it's something which is nice that we share in common and everything. Mm.
So I see that you had British parents, but you were born in France, and you also have a twin sister.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So does your twin sister as well play violin as like you do, or does she play a different instrument?
No, she doesn't play the violin. She played, I don't know. I think she played the oboe for a year, and then she said no, she didn't want to play the oboe anymore. And she sings. She's sung in choirs for many years and everything, but she doesn't do it. She's not a musician. And my other sister as well, she plays a little bit of piano, but she's not a musician. So I was the only one who sort of continued to take it professionally.
Now, with all of the traveling that you've done, as a child and even as an adult, going from places like the Great Wall of China, going to Canada, Northern Ireland, Malaysia, and a lot more. Has it ever changed the way you play? Does it infuse it in any kind of way or anything like that?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. Maybe the only thing is maybe it just is easier to sort of fit in different places. You know, I mean, I think the fact that I live in Spain, my older sister lives in the States, and her husband's American, and you know, it just has never felt like a strange thing to be in different countries. You know, as I was growing up, because my parents were diplomats, we lived in lots, as you say, you know, in lots of different places. And so I remember going to Spain and it didn't feel particularly foreign. You know, I mean, obviously somewhere like China or somewhere was much more extreme. So, and I think now, for example, I play because I'm playing with other musicians in Spain, and often they have actually sort of commented to me, oh, well, Jenny's not really sort of English, not properly, although obviously they all know I'm English, but because I sort of am very integrated maybe with the other musicians. So I think rather than how I understand music, because I think of it as very, very international. I think, you know, music evokes the same emotions in every single nationality. You know, even, you know, I sort of see, especially on YouTube or performing, people from nationalities which culturally are so very different, but this whole field of classical music, I think it brings out the same kind of feelings and emotions. So, it's just maybe an understanding that everyone is pretty much the same when it comes down to it. We all want to be happy and be, you know, and feel connection with other people. So that's probably the way I would feel about that.
Now, I know for myself growing up, I always wanted to learn how to play the violin. But my fascination with wanting to learn how to play the violin, and I was so desperate to wanting to learn how to play the violin, I took piano classes throughout elementary and high school to convince my parents that if I took on and did well, they'll eventually allow me to get into doing other music. So then I also turned around and learned how to play the accordion, which which is funny. But I played every single instrument.
No, but it's not that easy actually. The accordion, I've known someone who plays it, and it's not so easy.
No, it's not. But knowing that violin, because this is an instrument I always wanted to play, and I don't know how it is in other countries, but I know in America they have this thing called Save the Music that they've been working on since I was a kid, where they talk about the influence, the magic, and how it transcends when it comes to learning, being more full of, because you're touching parts of your brain playing music and listening to music. So it almost makes me wonder, like, how, when you're playing your violin, and how does it make you feel? Like, is there times when you're upset or you're happy or excited and you're like, you know what, I'm going to do a quick session just to, or does it influence you to write music?
The only thing I really sort of know is that every single day I'm sort of drawn to it. For example, right now I'm on holiday, I'm with my family, and they all just know I'm abroad, I've come over here, but it's just, I have my violin here, and every single day I get on the violin maybe for an hour or 2 hours or even 15 minutes if, we're going to the water park or something like that. It's just every day, and I think part of it is the whole sort of, it's the whole thing of being really, if you can, if you are approaching it in the sort of right spirit, and maybe we'll talk about this in a second, it's sort of meditative to the extent, and I'm sure, Wayne, for example, the pianist Wayne Bethany, I'm sure he would say the same thing. It's because it stops being, oh, I have to go and practice, because it just draws you to it. It's very, and I think it is the whole thing of being just very in the moment and solving the problems that you have to solve technically to be able to let the music come through and everything. So, I mean, I just, people ever say, oh, but you have to rehearse a lot, and just think, oh, well, that's what I love doing. I mean, it's really not that isn't a problem for me. It's what I love to do. So.
So not only did you grow up living and breathing music, you have a mother that was a pianist, and you have a father that was also a singer. So I can imagine your upbringing of always coming home and it feeling like a show, a live concert.
Yeah, and yes, my mum, for example, she always has played every day. That's always just a normal thing. And then, when I started playing, then, I suppose and I think it's helpful to be parents of, I mean, I certainly had to get over the whole thing of my mum's not a performing musician, and, how can I be a performance artist, and that's something I've had to work at. But I do realise then that, yes, music it's always been an option, if you like, and a normal thing. So that certainly helps. But I think, you can sort of grow into it on your own if you don't have that kind of background. I think it's a very personal thing as well, something that's a bit of a, without meaning to go over the top, a little bit of a calling, and so that it is something that keeps on speaking to you and keeps saying, come on, get on with it, sort of thing. And but yes, I certainly was lucky that my parents but we didn't listen to a lot of, well, not really. We were doing a lot,
Now, the fact that you play in an orchestra, it's like powerful, because it's like it's like it takes each and individual person to come together to create something so massive. So I could only imagine like the feeling, especially knowing that you've done over 120 concerts and you have 5 recordings with an orchestra, along with Spanish television and all of these other things. Like, when you first got into playing violin, did you ever think that it was going to take you to so many places, doing so many things, to even have albums, and then have a group that you perform together outside of being in a big, massive orchestra? Like, did you ever think that it would have changed your life completely?
No. Absolutely not. I mean, it's really, no, and it was one thing I never, back then when I was training, and I think, in fact, this is one of the things about it. I didn't have a very clear vision ever about what I was going to be doing with my violin. I mean, I just knew I loved playing. I was happy when I was playing. I used to, back at school, this was at my boarding school, I was in the orchestra, I was leading the orchestra at one, and I just knew I loved it. But I didn't have a clear vision at all, and maybe if I'd had a clearer vision, I'd have done everything a bit quicker, but I didn't, but so everything now which is unfolding, I mean, it's pretty amazing, So, no.
Now, of course, I know spirituality and the essence of music is very, very important to you.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, because a lot of times when it's coming to music, people always seem to assume, when it comes to people who, I would say, are into art, may they be an artist, may they be a musician or singer, whatever. A lot of times when they're eccentric, a lot of people just assume, oh, they're just like a Einstein, like, or they're just way over there. And it's like, no, it's just, that's a creative way of expressing. And then it's crazy, well, not crazy, it's interesting on how you tie in spirituality and the positive way of thinking, the law of attraction, into the way you live, you breathe, and into your music. How did you get into that?
I think, it's a relatively recent thing. Having said that, when I was about 18, I sort of got into yoga and started it, but and I've always practiced yoga. And there was but more the sort of physical side, hatha yoga and everything. But I realized then, in fact, maybe 5 years ago, when I started getting into wanting to start meditating and things like that, then, of course, in yoga, there's a lot of meditation involved and breathing and all the rest of it. So at the time, I was sort of doing it, but not thinking of it as a sort of spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. But then, probably the thing is, I was at a point where I'd moved away from, I wasn't performing nearly so much. I was teaching, I had 3 children, so I was bringing up my children. But the reason I moved away really from performing was just fear. I'd done a couple of auditions to try and get a permanent job with an orchestra that I'd been playing with as a sub, but and I didn't get in, and I was not happy with, I didn't feel confident with my playing and everything. So I moved away from it, but then it was always there in the background. And I realized that although I was teaching successfully and on the surface everything, making money with that and everything, there was always what I want to be doing is performing. And for many, many years thinking, but I'm not good enough, I'm getting too old, all the rest of it, So, and then I got more and more dissatisfied with the teaching and the problem is with teaching, you're dealing with children all the time, and if you're angry with them, it's not their fault. So, and I really got to the point where I just thought, no, I've got to make a move now. And I was heading up to my 50th birthday and thinking, I could go on like this for the rest of my life, and I'm not happy, and I'm angry. I was not doing what I wanted to be doing. So that was what really, I started listening to, telly classes on YouTube and a lot of Abraham Hicks, this kind of thing. And so that was what introduced me to the law of attraction and everything. But then I think I did what maybe many people find, the whole thing with the law of attraction, when you're not getting what you want because you're not, I was sort of angry, and so I wasn't attracting the right kind of energy and everything. So that was when I sort of got into EFT, the tapping, and which helped me sort of clear and all the blocks that I had to that. And so little by little, it's been a process, maybe about 4 years, and then gradually moving back into performing and everything.
So how did you get in together to start doing music in a way where you started coming together, collaborating, and making albums?
Well, as I got more confident with that, it's all sort of went going hand in hand. I was getting more confident, so I was playing better and more secure. And in fact, for example, the guitarist that I have a duo with, the Laura's Freestyle duo, he's an American guy who I've known. He was in fact teaching in the same school that I'd been teaching in, and we'd known each other for about 10 years, but only just said hello to each other and everything. But then I started thinking, guitar, and I'd been playing a lot of guitar and piano, but it's not very practical. For example, in Madrid, there's many venues which don't have pianos, and so it's and I just kept coming to me. The violin, the guitar would be, it's a melodic instrument and a more harmonic instrument, and I actually said to him, do you feel like getting together and doing a duo, because this seems to me like a good idea. And right then we had a rehearsal, and we got on instantly really well together, and just really easy to make music together. And but then in fact I had other things going on. Maybe I sort of stepped back from it a bit, and we had about 6 months, and then we got in fact through the guy who he's been coaching me for an EFT guy, Brad Yates, well, I asked him if we could play at one of his workshops, one of his EFT in London. He said yes. So that was what really got us launched, and we started playing. So, and we've been playing together, and it's really, and made 2 CDs, and it's just been really, really nice. You know, we get on very well. Personally and musically as well, you know, we're the same age. We have similar kind of, you know, we both have children, we both have marriages and everything, and we just get on very well musically together. So, and it's nice. I like playing with he's more a jazz and blues guitarist, and so I've really enjoyed moving into that a little bit more, and he's enjoyed doing more classical stuff. So we do a bit of everything. So
now.
It's good.
With all that being said, of course, you said you decided, you went through a thing where you just said, okay, there's got to be more to this. You started getting into yoga, then yoga got you into Abraham Hicks, which he is by far, he's very good guy, great guy. And Mr. Paul Santisi.
Yes,
so,
yes. I think the whole thing with Paul and I was, you know, for most of my life, or, you know, my adult life, and whenever I've thought about meditation, I've always thought, oh, forget it, I'm far too active, and, you know, my mind's always going 19 to the dozen, and, you know, forget it, I can't meditate. And so looking on YouTube, different meditations and everything, and one day I discovered one of Paul's meditations, the I Am one, you know, one of the, and it was wonderful. It was a time in my life when I was making changes, and I had quite a lot of time, and which now, looking back, you know, at the time there's a sort of, oh gosh, when are things gonna start happening? But at the time it was meant that I had time and space and everything, and I remember having, you know, the time to listen to these and being absolutely, I mean, God, the first time I heard that I Am meditation, being absolutely blown away by it. It was absolutely amazing, you know, and so, and really, really just liking the whole message, and it just, you know, totally resonating with it. It just felt like true. And everything. So those meditations really helped me in this sort of moving from being insecure as a performer, not feeling that I was very good, or that I could be very visible and everything. So, and really helping, that kind of thing. I think it is really important to start from inside, feeling good about you, because it is so much about putting yourself out there and becoming more visible and everything. So, I mean, I remember that first time I heard it, being absolutely blown away by it. You know? And now, one that I really like by Paul now is the Money one.
That's my favorite.
You know, I think it's absolutely fantastic, and I really like the whole sort of message that he gives and the whole explanation. I mean, it makes a lot of sense and everything. So, you know, you know, the whole message is really good. And then meeting Paul, I mean, that was funny because it must have been a year later. And of course, the whole Music Mastermind thing had already started. And it was only, I mean, I think this is really typical law of attraction, that it was only about a year later that I even saw under one of his videos, I'm looking for musicians. I mean, it must have been there the whole time, but I wasn't ready to see it, you know. And I remember thinking, okay, well, I sent in a message there, and I put a link to a couple of my videos, and thinking at the time, because I'd seen the other kind of musicians that he was signing up, you know, sort of rap and hip hop and stuff, and I think, forget it, he's not going to want anything to do with me. And I was totally convinced he wouldn't ever get back to me. So I thought, well, okay, what have I got to lose? You know, the great Paul Santisi is not going to. And then very quickly he sent back a message. Oh, whoa! So, and then we had a really good chat and everything. It was really nice. And since then, you know, sending in recordings and everything, it's always been really, really nice. And so, and as I said to you, I think in an email, I said, you know, it is really nice to bring the two things together. You know,
yes,
they're both things that speak to me very, very much. Yeah.
So now, rewinding to the now, what's your latest endeavors now? Because I know you're in the studio as of right now, working on your next album.
we've just brought one out. We've just, about a month ago, we brought out, this is with Sai, my guitarist, our album called Take Two, which is, and it is, you know, on the name of the duo is Laura's Freestyle, and it really is, I mean, we do a bit of everything. So there's some blues, there's some jazz, there's classical music, there's, you know, pretty much there's Irish and Celtic, so music, pretty much everything on there. And so that we've just brought out, and and so we have that on CD, and we sell that at concerts that we do, and then and we've got it to download digitally and everything. And this is all huge learning curves for me, but we're getting there. And so that's one thing with the duo. That's really what we're doing. We've got concerts coming up now in the fall to play mainly in Madrid, but I hope next year we'll be coming back and play again in the States. And so that's the main thing there with the duo. Yep.
Now, for all of you listeners who have been listening to Miss Jennifer-Clift, please keep in mind that there, in the description box down below, you'll find any and everything dealing with Jennifer-Clift. For any further updates, all you have to do is write in hashtag Jennifer-Clift, and you'll constantly get updated. You'll find all of her social media links, including links where they can actually listen to your music, which is I'm telling you, I love classical music. That has to be by far one of my favorite of all genres of music. And I can actually say it was great hearing your music play when I was listening, doing my research, that even my niece, I was playing like little lullabies. It didn't work, but your music knocked her out.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, because you know how they have like, you know how they say classical music for children is very good because it enlightens the brain, they absorb more, and then at the same time, it also, especially if you play while they're sleeping, it helps their brain absorb a whole lot more and soothes them at night, and it does a lot for them. So I'm like, let me try it. So it just so happened that I know I was interviewing you this Tuesday. I'm like, so since last Tuesday's show, I've been playing it. It's just her thing. She's even given up Barney and Blues Clues and all of that to listen to your music. So that's what I was like, you know. Oh my goodness. Are there any final words that you would like to share to the listeners and your followers?
You know what, I think when I was thinking about doing this interview and everything, I think, you know, the main thing, I am learning all the time and on all levels, you know, I mean, not certainly with the violin. This is one thing I love about the violin, is that you're constantly learning and you're constantly. But one thing I just, you know, occurred to me is that, yeah, to start from the inside out, you know, this whole thing of taking it from a level of, you know, for example, using the Paul's meditations and things to really start believing in yourself and realizing that, you know, it's not so much about me as it's being a channel for music and learning that. Therefore, you can sort of bypass the whole, oh, you know, I'm not good enough and all that in order to share what is there. And, you know, it's never going to be perfect. We're always getting better. There's always, especially with the violin, it is so technical and it's so easy to, you know, one's always learning to get better and better at it. But I think, you know, and my feeling has always been, well, you know, if I can do it, anyone can do this. You know, this is a process but it has been very much about learning that it's really important to believe in yourself, to go from the inside out and everything. And then, and you know, and now I'm much happier than I used to be, you know, on all levels. It's really an important thing, you know. So, and all these kind of resources like Paul's meditations and everything, it's really, really been important for me, and it's really helped. So,
no, yeah. It's most definitely. I once again must have to say thank you so much, Mrs. Jennifer-Clift, for coming on tonight's show, sharing, and being the first musical artist that is classical, which is yay, And the great thing is being part of the Paul Santini music and being able to showcase that music, taking it back to how music was made to be, where it was more of how you felt, expressing and imposing intent into music. Which now it's kind of, you do find artists that are taking it back to basics, but then you do have a lot of artists that are like, oh, this sounds good, so this is great. So, you know. But thank you so much for coming tonight for the live stream for the Get Inside Me show. Again, everyone, please feel free to like, comment, and share Mrs. Jennifer-Clift. You'll find all her information in the description box down below. Even if you miss it, please, all you have to do is click the link on Spreaker. Check us out on the YouTube channel as well as iTunes. And pretty soon, iHeartRadio. Thanks a lot. Thank you to all you listeners. Thank you so much, Miss Jennifer-Clift. I will be signing out.
Thank you very much, Patu.
No,
it's
you're
been
so
really nice
welcome.
to talk.
I'll see all of you guys next Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay, bye.